Yule rafiki yako alikuwa ananiambia ananipa mimi kodi ati mimi nakuja kusema urongo. Sasa unamsikia anahama bila alikwambia wewe?
Si mzee Mombasa ulitaka uone na maarifa mwenyewe. Haya huyu. Jumatatu gani? Hivi leo nilikuwa wahama kama mimi sikukuona na mzee Mombasa. Silikuwa mzee Mombasa atanishika mimi. Nilikuwa wahama bila kutuaga, si mzee Mombasa alikuwa atanishika mimi. Na nimlipe hizo pesa. Utalipa hata mimi niko tayari maarifa utoi kitu wala utoke bila kulipa pesa.
Mtetee tafadhali.
Kutetana.
Rockfield leo wana mambo fulani. Rockfield
Alfajiri tuamka, macheo yametujia, umande unanyauka, jua linatufikia.
Bendera imepata heshima stahiki.
Bendera inapochafuka au kunyeshewa haioshwi, na hii ni ukosefu wa heshima. Je, hii ni kuheshimu bendera?
Baadhi ya mashujaa tunaowajua waliotutangulia wamezikwa na bendera. Je, hii ni heshima kweli?
Nini maana ya chuku katika fasihi?
Chuku ni mbinu ya matilia chumvi katika vitendo katika kazi ya fasihi ili kueleza hisia fulani.
Kila siku tuwe na amani.
Kwa sauti?
Kila siku tuwe na amani.
Umeanza vizuri na amani.
Kila siku tuwe na shukrani.
Kila siku tuwe na shukrani, wapiga makofi jamani.
Do you know what's inside that prepackaged food? Those unhealthy ultra-processed foods high in sugar, salt or unhealthy fats can lead to diseases.
According to the Ministry of Health, approximately 39% of all deaths in Kenya are as a result of non-communicable diseases such as obesity, diabetes, cancer and high blood pressure. The foods and drinks we consume every day can affect our health more than we realize.
Clear information on packages about what's in our food can help us have a healthy diet. From the Food Policy Coalition Kenya.
Hello and thank you for joining us on Lunchtime News on KBC Channel 1. It's coming to you live from the Broadcasting House in Kenya's capital, Nairobi. My name is Giverson, Maina, and our sign language interpreter is Byron Abudi. So join us for the next 1 hour or so for news within, of course, across the country. And straight away, I want to take you to Nakuru County in Gilgil, and a specific at Utumishi Girls Academy, where the latest is that several girls, or rather police have arrested 8 students from Utumishi Girls Academy Senior School on suspicion of arson over the fire tragedy that claimed the lives of 16 students and left 79 students injured. In a statement, the authorities say the 8 were identified as persons of interest in connection with the planning and execution of the suspected arson attack. Detectives continue to record statements and analyze all available evidence to reconstruct the sequence of the events, of course establish the full circumstances of the incident and determine the motive. The inferno broke out in the early hours of Thursday and injured 79 students. And now I want to link you to our very own Nancy Okware at Utumishi Girls Academy. Nancy, if you can hear me, what's the latest? Have they established whether this was actually an act of arson?
Well, a very good afternoon to you, Giverson, Maina. We are coming to you live from Utumishi Academy right here in Gilgil, Nakuru County. We have been here since morning, since yesterday when actually investigation started concerning the fire incident that occurred in the school on Wednesday, claiming 16 lives and, of course, leaving several students nursing injuries. Today, things have been a bit different because yesterday parents were allowed to get inside the institution, but today those parents are actually camping outside the gate. And as you can see behind me, we just have a group of parents who are just from being briefed by the county commissioner and, of course, officials from the forensic unit concerning the state of their children, because we understand there are some students who are being interrogated inside the institution since yesterday concerning the fire incident. And what we can get right now is a statement from the Directorate of Criminal Investigation that confirmed that following extensive interviews with students, members of staff, and of course the supporting staff, 8 students were arrested and they have been detained in connection with the planning and execution of the incident that led to the fire that consumed the dormitory, claiming 16 lives. The parents have been distressed since morning because they say they have been here since yesterday and they've not been getting any answers. They've not been getting any answers from authorities, and what they want right now is answers. We actually saw some of them attempting to break into the school because they are saying they are not getting any information on where their children are, if they are safe or not, because initially they were receiving information that some of the children might have been moved from these school to other locations. But we are hoping that the county commissioner and of course the team from the forensic unit and DCI are going to give us a statement shortly after briefing the parents, because it has been a tough moment for them waiting. The parents who are here have been divided into 3 groups. There's a group of the parents whose children were undergoing interrogation inside the institution, and of course we do have another group of parents who are not whose children's whereabouts are still unknown, and they are seeking answers. They are hoping that they can either confirm if their children are alive or dead. But what we are gathering right now is that the DCI has issued that statement indicating that following the investigations, after questioning the various students, they have been able to get 8 students who are now being known as the persons of interest in the incident. And of course the parents have been briefed, and we are going to be bringing you more updates as soon as we get a briefing from the county commissioner and the team from the DCI unit that is currently finishing up briefing the parents on the preliminary findings. For now, it's back to you, Giverson, Maina, in studio.
And that is our very own Nancy Okoro reporting live from Utumishi Girls Academy. Of course, we keep an eye on that to bring you up to speed in our subsequent bulletins. And away from that, President William Ruto has assented to 3 critical bills that will strengthen disaster response, protect the forest, and of course deliver equitable development to all parts of the country. The new laws are the National Disaster Risk Management Act of 2023, the Forest Conservation and Management Amendment Act of 2025, and the Equalization Fund Appropriation Act 2025, State House, Nairobi.
Bill establishes
the National Disaster Risk Management Act 2023 provides for the development of national and county disaster risk management plans and an integrated early warning system to enhance preparedness, prevention, and timely responses to disasters. Cabinet Secretary for Interior Kipchumba Murkomen hailed the enactment, saying it's a major milestone in strengthening the country's capacity to prevent, prepare for, respond to, and recover from disasters. He says it comes at a critical moment following a series of deadly fire incidents in learning institutions, with the most recent being the Utumishi Academy fire tragedy. The amendments in the Forest Conservation and Management Act 2025 intend to enhance sustainable forest management, promote climate-resilient forestry, strengthen governance and institutional coordination within the forestry sector, promote the conservation and rehabilitation of forest resources, and improve the participation of communities and other stakeholders in forest management. The Equalization Fund Appropriation Act 2025 appropriates a total of 16.8 billion Kenya shillings for the current financial year to be shared among 34 counties identified as marginalized areas. The monies are to be utilized to implement projects in various constituencies in each identified counties.
The State Department of Public Service and Human Capital Development has pushed for a stronger policy and legislative frameworks aimed at shielding human resource managers and institutions from external influence. Now, speaking during the 12th Human Resource Conference in Mombasa County, stakeholders challenged HR professionals to remain responsive to rapidly evolving trends in artificial intelligence and digital governance. The government maintained that the future of human resource management will depend on the ability of human resource practitioners to adapt to technological shifts, drive digital transformation, and develop modern workforce strategies.
We need to be accountable to our people, and in this case is the employees of the institution. We should not just look at them as resources. We need to look at them as people who have been entrusted on us to look out for them. And the third one, how accountable are we to our nation? Your role is not an entitlement. You must serve the government. If you're in the private sector, you must serve the shareholders.
Investing in continuous professional development to ensure HR practitioners remain responsive to emerging trends, particularly in AI, digital governance, leadership, and data-driven decision-making.
And I take you to Samburu County, where Cabinet Secretary for Lands, Public Works, Housing and Urban Development, Alice Wahome, led the issuance of 60 title deeds in Samburu East Samburu County. Now, this marked a new step in securing community land and public utilities, which will unlock development in the region. Now, of the 60 title deeds issued, covering a total acreage of 369,000, 5 are for community land, while 55 for public utilities, covering 6 schools, 8 trading centers, 3 dispensaries, a cemetery, an airstrip, several water ponds, churches, and 2 police stations. Now, speaking during the event held at Ndonyo Wasin Primary School, this is said the issuance of title deeds will play a key role in unlocking development in strengthening land tenure security. Samburu Governor Jonathan Lati Lelelit hailed the move to secure public land.
Tumetembea kila kaunti na sisi huko tumetembea, na leo mimi nikiwa hapa nataka nimtangazie na nimwambie kila kaunti, wananchi wote, pengine wale wetu wanakonfuziwa na yule mtu la ndugu yangu ambaye alifukuzwa kazi, lakini hawa wananchi wote wengine wanasema ni William Ruto 2027.
And will remain there for a while now, where Samburu County government has officially launched a school feeding program for nursery school children in a bid to improve education access and standards in the area. Now, Samburu County Head of Public Service Wilson Lesuda says the program that targets to benefit all the nursery school children in the county. Now, he added that the food will last until the end of this term.
During our last data analysis, we had 40,768 children who are going to be fed through this feeding program, and I'm almost certain more children will continue to come, and we will continue to do this so that we educate the children of our county.
And now from Samburu, we take you to Murang'a County, where residents of Ruegedha in Gatanga, Murang'a County, are living in fear after 3 bodies of children were retrieved from River Kiama in separate incidents. Now, area leaders led by Murang'a County Governor Irongo Kang'ata are calling on security agencies to conduct thorough investigations into the incidents. They are also calling, or rather urging, residents to whose children may be missing to check them at a Kirwara Hospital morgue in order to assist in identifying the bodies.
Tunaomba wazazi tuchunge watoto wetu. Akitoka shule asubuhi, unajua akienda shule asubuhi unahakikisha amefika shule. Akirudi jioni hakikisha amerudi jioni salama, na pia mzungumuze na walimu kama watoto wamefika shule, na tuendelee kushikana pamoja na watu wa nyumba 10 administration tuchunge watoto wetu.
And our boda operators in Kajiado County have been challenged to collaborate with the security agencies to help curb increased cases of motorcycles being stolen and taken to neighboring Tanzania. Now, the national chairperson of BK, Kevin Mbadi, says many Kenyans who have invested in the sector and those in the industry must endeavor to assist the government in stamping out criminal elements colluding with their counterparts across the border. Now, Mogo Kenya head of public relations, Beking Gigi, who attended the meeting, said motorcycle theft continues to pose a major risk to both riders and financiers due to the financial strain it creates when assets are stolen, urging those in the sector not to be swayed by politicians to be goons on hire to cause mayhem.
Kwa kweli ile kitu ambayo tumefanya ni kwamba walikuwa na mkutano na viongozi wa serikali, ambapo walifanya mkutano zile pande zote mbili ambazo zilikuwa zinazozana, na pia juzi nimekuwa hapa na mkutano na nikawahimiza kwamba they must work together as a team. Sisi ni familia moja, ukitaja bodaboda hiyo ni familia moja, hatuna ukabila, hatuna kitu yote. So the emphasis ni kwamba tunatarajia kwamba wataweka amani, waweze kufanya kazi yao pamoja ili walishe familia.
Because it is not possible that a business will invest over 30 billion and then go after a bike that will be worth 30,000. And especially the allegation that when the customer is about to complete the loan, you can imagine that bike is about 1 year, 8 months old. So it has depreciated. So it will be of no interest for the business to go after that. And it is a security issue. Na ndio manake kiongozi amesema hapa, it has to involve several stakeholders to address it, including police agencies. Na tumeona that when we work together, that happens. It is important also to understand that in the last 12 months at Mogo, we have recorded over 3,000 cases of theft. And within that period, recovery rate imeenda ikiongezeka from 40%, we are at 60%. Meaning that when we work as stakeholders, then we are able to reduce the cases.
And our Jubilee Party has filed 2 petitions at the High Court challenging changes to the party's leadership and the government's continued failure to allocate and disburse money to the political party's fund as required by the law. Now, the party, or a section of members of that party, want the High Court to block Fred Matiang'i's bid for the 2027 presidential ticket and to compel the National Assembly and Treasury to distribute amounts that are above the legal threshold in light of ongoing political realignments. This even as Jubilee Youth League has reacted to the Cabinet Secretary, or the Secretary General UDA letter to President Uhuru Kenyatta.
Former Nyeri Town Member of Parliament Ngunjiri Wambugu has challenged former Interior Cabinet Secretary Fred Matiang'i's bid to secure the Jubilee Party presidential ticket for the 2027 general election. Wambugu has filed an urgent case before the Political Parties Disputes Tribunal, seeking to halt the implementation of changes to Jubilee Party officials, recently recorded by the Register of Political Parties. In the suit, Wambugu has sued the Register of Political Parties alongside Matiang'i, Jubilee Secretary General Jeremiah Kioni, Vincent Mogaka Kimose, Moitalel Olekenta, Zach Kinuthia, Yasir Nu, and Dan Mwangi. The matter comes up for directions on 5th of June 2026. In another petition, Jubilee Party has filed what it has termed as several violations of the Political Parties Act 2011. The party contends that despite the Court of Appeal ruling, the National Assembly and Treasury have allegedly continued to allocate amounts below the legal threshold. The course development comes even as Jubilee Youth League has it out at UDA Secretary General Hassan Omar over his letter to former President Uhuru Kenyatta.
The Social Health Authority is a shambolic, collapsing pyramid scheme that has left millions of Kenyans without cover.
The youth leaders have termed the tone of the latest ethnic balkanization meant to disrupt peace ahead of the 2027 general election.
Let not us hear any patient from any country in the world being quarantined in Kenya.
Ruth Wamboi for Prime Edition.
And our Homa Bay County has commenced an exercise to impound and arrest those using illegal fishing gear in Lake Victoria. Now, the county's fisheries director, Michael Omondi, said the administration was committed to promoting sustainable management of marine resources to safeguard the future of the sector. He said the destruction of the impounded gear is carried out after court orders are issued following the arraignment of suspects.
We are engaging in sustainable management of fisheries resources in the lake. We are today banning impounded fishing gears which are actually used by fishermen. So one of the measures is to go out, conduct patrols, seize and arrest illegal fishing gears and fishermen. After they've been arraigned in court, we get an order and we come and we destroy.
But the motto is what?
The State Department for Housing and Urban Development is working closely with technical and vocational education and training institutions and even the Jua Kali Contractors National Umbrella Organization in the implementation of the Affordable Housing Program. This move seeks to enhance practical training for students and expand opportunities within the Jua Kali sector. Now, according to the Urban and Metropolitan Development Secretary Byron Moyo, the initiative will ensure students gain field exposure in key construction areas while supporting the government's agenda of delivering affordable housing units in the country. They were speaking during the groundbreaking ceremony for the construction of a Center of Excellence workshop at Nairobi Polytechnic.
TVETs has been one of our strongest partners. They believed in us. We've had a lot of conversation with them where we have the training element and we have the practice element. And remember, this practice creates a job, so they get a stipend. So the TVETs are our great partners.
Many students, we are working with them, and not even here, even on the site we have. We have site to Ruiru. There are some children there, Kipira, Ngong, and just here, Shaurimoyo.
The impact to the learners is they're doing the actual work, which is competence, like the real fabrication, doing the windows and the doors and all the grills for the affordable housing. So they're also learning the skills and practicing their competencies.
We also know that the Jua Kali income is not always fair, it does not always reflect the knowledge they have, the skills they have, and is not always enough to support their families. So I hope that this path will come to a fairer and a better life for everyone.
It's the biggest in scale for our skilled artisans. The Jua Kali sector in Kenya is divided into 19 subsectors. This subsector that you're going to hear about is the 19th subsector.
And now, Kiambu Governor Kimani Wamatangi has dismissed calls to split the county into two to enhance service delivery to the residents. Now, the governor accused a section of politicians of pushing for the splitting of the county for their own selfish political interest. Now, speaking during Boda Boda Circle's empowerment program in Juja, Wamatangi said his administration had undertaken various development projects across the county, accusing critics of spreading misleading claims that some regions have been neglected.
Wacha ni watangazie wenye wamekuwa wanagojea ati watatumia barabara kupiga serikali ya Wamatangi. Kwanza mkumbuke kitu moja. Mimi ni gavana wa 4 kuliko wengine watatu mbele yangu. Ya pili, hapa hii Juja na Kiambu mzima wenye walikuwa wanasema vitu ya barabara wakitembea, na wengine kwanza ni ma-MP wamechaguliwa. Kumekuwa na wajumbe wangapi wamechaguliwa kwa hii Juja mpaka siku ya leo? Lakini mimi nimekubali, mimi sio mtu wa kutorokea kazi. Vile waliwacha mashule hawajajenga, nimekuja nimewajengea zote 512. Siku torokea, nilijenga.
Now, Cooperatives peers Patrick Kilemi has reaffirmed the government's commitment to support the growth of the cooperative movement in Kenya by creating an enabling environment for established and upcoming SACCOs. Now, the Principal Secretary was speaking today when he issued a registration certificate to the newly formed Maendeleo ya Wanawake at 70 Mbao SACCO, now promising to fulfill President Ruto's pledge of 250 million in seed capital towards the SACCO to enable its operationalization. The cooperative formed by the Maendeleo ya Wanawake members is aimed at empowering women financially and enhancing women-led economic growth.
To His Excellency the President, thank you, sir, for actualizing the seed money. That is what we needed so that we move.
Our women will get empowered, our girls will get empowered through this circle. And we know that most of the cases that we've been having are related to economic difficulties. And this circle will go a long way in ensuring that these difficult economic times are actually dealt with.
Of committed to support this circle. His Excellency the President has committed to grant Maendeleo ya Wanawake at 70 Bao SACCO some seed capital. I'm processing 250 million for this SACCO to support them in giving their members loans and also to give the SACCO the impetus, the start it requires, so that in 10 years we'll be talking about $1 billion or $2 billion worth of SACCO.
Now, more than 400 persons living with disabilities in Mombasa have benefited from a 3-day medical and mobility outreach program organized by Hope Mobility Kenya in partnership with the Anglican Church of Kenya, Mombasa Diocese. The program provided wheelchairs, eye care services, counseling and medical support to vulnerable families drawn from different parts of the coastal region. Now, organizers used the occasion to call for increased government support and higher budgetary allocation for persons with disabilities.
We don't want anyone to crawl on the ground. We don't want anyone to lay on the floor. We want them to, have that dignity so that, they can be able to go to school. The children can go to school. The adult can go to work, and so that's what we are doing.
Mbali na kuwa vitu viko ghali, kuna ile accessibility ya hizo special device ambazo zinahitajika pia kwa wengi ni changamoto.
Limetusaidia watoto wetu wamepata wheelchair ambazo zinaturahisishia sisi kama wazazi. Tukikalisha mtoto wetu kwenye wheelchair kama hivyo, unapata njia ya kutoka naye kujitafutia.
And our healthcare experts in the country are raising concern over what they term as the growing burden of blindness and visual impairment in the country. Now, speaking in Nairobi, acting head of eye health section in the Ministry of Health, Dr. Monica Bitok, said more than 30% of Kenyans need some form of eye care service, ranging from a treatment and surgery to corrective glasses. She added that although the country has made progress in reducing blindness prevalence from 7% 3 decades ago to the current 0.37%, the burden remains significant. The revelation comes as the country gears up a host eye health conference next week. More than 500 delegates from across the globe are expected in Nairobi for the 2030 Insight Live conference organized by the International Agency for the Prevention of Blindness.
30% of Kenyans are in need of eye care services across the country. In terms of what age is affected more, so most eye conditions are age-related. As someone grows older, then the risk of getting some of these eye conditions goes higher. These include things like cataract, diabetic retinopathy, glaucoma. So most eye conditions come as someone grows older. But that is not to say that we do not have conditions in the young age groups. So you'll also have eye conditions in the young age groups.
Wanashindwa kuweza kupata huduma za macho kwa sababu ya zile price ambazo ziko hospitalini. Kwa hivyo SHA ikiweza kuongezea coverage ya eye health itaweza kusaidia wengi kuweza kwenda hospitalini mapema.
And now, on that note, we take a very short commercial break. Don't go too far. There's still so much more lined up for you.
Kwa nini uona tuma kunisi? Wa track hiyo kari.
Ati anatuma nini?
Kunusi.
Hizo ni nini?
Makunisi hiyo yani mheshimiwa. Ndio hiyo mheshimiwa. Usiona naitwangu makunisi mheshimiwa.
Buns.
Can we go with English please?
No problem.
What about if we put like this? You put my phone tracker so that you can track me because you love me because I'm a baby face.
Oh,
what about that one?
What is he talking about?
Kwani gari ni wale tatu atasahau hapa aende. Gari kubwa na mna hiyo wewe atasahau aje.
Mama, unajua mapenzi ni nini wewe?
Wanadanganya.
Chunga hii kesi inaweza kukufunga.
Rockfield leo wana mambo fulani. Rockfield
Alfajiri tuamka. Macheo yametujia. Umande unanyauka. Jua linatufikia.
Bendera imepata heshima stahiki.
Bendera inapochafuka au kunyeshewa haioshwi, na hii ni ukosefu wa heshima. Je, hii ni kuheshimu bendera? Baadhi ya mashujaa tunaowajua waliotutangulia wamezikwa na bendera. Je, hii ni heshima kweli?
Nini maana ya chuku katika fasihi?
Chuku ni mbinu ya matilia chumvi katika vitendo katika kazi ya fasihi ili kueleza hisia fulani.
Kila siku tuwe na amani.
Kwa sauti?
Kila siku tuwe na amani.
Umeanza vizuri na amani.
Kila siku tuwe na shukrani.
Kila siku tuwe na shukrani, wapiga makofi jamani.
And welcome back. You're watching Lunchtime News on KBC Channel 1. And now the High Court has suspended the establishment of an Ebola quarantine facility in Kenya by the United States pending the hearing of an application filed by Katiba Institute. In the ruling issued on Friday morning, Lady Justice Patricia Nyaundi also barred the transfer of persons exposed to Ebola into the country. The developments come as Principal Secretaries Dr. Auma Oluga of Medical Services and Mary Mudhoni of Public Public Health on Thursday gave the move a thumbs up, saying the initiative confirms the confidence other countries have in Kenya's health system.
The emergency ruling follows a petition filed by governance watchdog Katiba Institute seeking to halt any arrangements involving the United States or any other foreign government or agency on the establishment of any Ebola-related quarantine facility in Kenya. Katiba Institute moved to court Thursday evening under certificate of urgency, arguing that the move poses a constitutional threat. The High Court has not only blocked the establishment and operationalization of the facility reportedly planned for Laikipia County, but has also barred the transfer of persons exposed to Ebola into the country, pending an inter-parties full hearing. The proposals initially sparked sharp public, national and even international debate, with fears rising over the spread of the Bundibujo Ebola strain in the country. The Kenya Medical Practitioners and Dentists Union in a statement criticized the move, demanding transparency on the agreement between Kenya and the US government. On Thursday, Medical Services Principal Secretary Dr. Auma Oluga termed the initiative as part of medical tourism and one that confirms the confidence other countries have in Kenya's health system.
Kenya has been at the forefront of international response. In 2015, the country that was relied upon by the world to send 157 experts to help Sierra Leone contain and tackle Ebola from 2014 all the way to 2016.
The court will give further directions on Tuesday, June 2nd, 2026. Kamchemenza for Lunchtime News.
And more than 25 young entrepreneurs in Kisumu have graduated from a year-long incubation program dubbed Biashara Power Initiative. The program seeks to capacity build upcoming entrepreneurs and promising startups in Kisumu, Uasin Gishu, and of course Nakuru counties. The initiative is part of an initiative being rolled out by Kisumu-based Wise Hub organization, where young entrepreneurs are assisted to grow their brands and exposed to financiers, among other benefits. The project targets underrepresented sectors such as the blue economy, the green economy, and manufacturing.
We are also creating through our agencies, like for example, the agencies that are implementing in Kenya, they are helping the financial institutions to come with products that are specific, or rather that are favorable for the young businesses, because you realize access to finance is also a key challenge.
I'm in the blue sector, the blue economy, and the wash sector, water, sanitation and hygiene. So there has been a lot of knowledge sharing, that is number one. Secondly, there has been a lot of networking, that not only are we gaining the knowledge, but we are also being linked to those who are relevant within this sector that we are able to associate with and grow with within the sector.
Throughout the project, I was able to do a partnership, and this partnership has also made me as a business to also create more employment.
So come to Wise Hub, our doors are open. We can enroll you in those sectors. If you just have an idea in those sectors, it's all good. We also work with innovators, and we'll nurture that idea into a business.
On matters concerning the fire at Utumishi Girls Academy, the CS Education Julius Ogamba had just spoken about whatever is going on there, including the investigation concerning that fire that left 16 girls dead. Let's have a listen.
We welcome you. You are called on a short notice and you've been able to come. I'm here with the chairman of the Commission for TSC and will be issuing a joint statement with respect to the events that occurred yesterday. As you are aware, we had the unfortunate incident of the fire in Utumishi, where we lost 16 learners, and we continue passing our condolences to the families of the bereaved, and we continue wishing the learners who are still in hospital quick recovery. So we have a joint statement that we are going to issue to just update you of the current status of where we are from yesterday. And we'll continue calling you and we'll continue giving you updates as this matter progresses. So I propose that I'll read this joint statement and then thereafter we'll take a few questions from you for clarifications, and then we'll proceed from there. So, ladies and gentlemen, as indicated yesterday, there was a tragic fire incident at Utumishi Girls Academy in Gilgil Sub-County, Nakuru County. At the time of the incident, a total of 808 learners were within the school premises. By last evening, all the learners had been accounted for. Most unfortunately, 16 learners lost their lives in the incident. The bodies of the departed souls have been transferred to Naivasha Sub-County Hospital mortuary for preservation and DNA identification. Parents and guardians are therefore been directed to the facility for purposes of the DNA testing. 79 learners suffered injuries of varied degrees, and 7 of the injured learners are still in hospital undergoing treatment, while the rest have been treated and discharged. These 7 were airlifted yesterday from Gilgil and they are now being treated in Kenyatta National Hospital. Preliminary investigations have established the following. Number 1, the tragic fire was an act of arson. The Directorate of Criminal Investigations is currently holding and questioning 8 learners who are persons of interest in this investigation. The investigation will ascertain the individual roles in the planning and execution of this heinous act. Those found culpable will be charged in accordance with the provisions of the Penal Code and other relevant laws. We have indications that they will be presented to court as early as Tuesday next week. Number 2, the school did not adhere to the safety requirements as stipulated in the school safety manual and the basic education regulations. In particular, there was congestion in the dormitory and one exit door was locked contrary to the prescribed safety requirements. Number 3, 2 teachers were informed of this planned unrest by a section of Form 3 learners. However, these teachers did not take appropriate action before the arson, despite having been informed of this incident beforehand. Consequently, and in view of the foregoing findings, we have taken the following actions. Number 1, the Board of Management of Utumishi Girls Academy has been dissolved for failing to ensure compliance with the school safety manual and the basic education regulations. Number 2, the Teacher Service Commission has been appraised of these findings and is taking appropriate and immediate disciplinary action against the principal for failing to ensure compliance with the school safety manual and basic education regulations. And the teachers who failed to take action despite having been informed of the planned unrest will also be subjected to to disciplinary proceedings by the Teachers Service Commission. Number 3, investigations are ongoing to establish other aspects of negligence on the part of the officers from the Ministry of Education and the Teachers Service Commission. Appropriate disciplinary and other legal action will be taken against officers found to have been negligent in their duties. Ladies and gentlemen, we shall continue providing information and updates as these investigations continue. That is our statement as of today, as an update from yesterday. And now I'll take a few of your questions for clarifications or any other issue, then we'll proceed from there.
Absa Bank Kenya's first quarter net profit fell 13.9% to 5.3 billion shillings, down from 6.2 billion shillings a year earlier, as weaker lending income and foreign exchange trading revenue weighed on earnings. Total interest income fell 10.2%, while operating expenses rose 2.4%.
Absa Bank Kenya disbursed 3.8 billion shillings in net loans and advances to customers, representing a 1.5% reduction. The reduced lending was reflected in total interest income that fell 10.2% to 13.5 billion shillings. This was mainly on account of a 13.2% reduction in interest income on loans to 9.97 billion shillings and on government securities that fell 6.8% to 2.98 billion shillings. Furthermore, total non-interest income reduced 5.2% to 4.3 billion shillings, driven down by foreign exchange trading income that dipped 17.9% to 1.26 billion shillings. On the other hand, total operating expenses rose 2.4% to 7.16 billion shillings, fueled largely by a 33.8% increase in staff costs to 3.89 billion shillings in what the bank says was due to investment in customer-focused transformation initiatives. Gross non-performing loans reduced 13.5% to 38.1 billion shillings, while customer deposits rose 7.5% to 399.1 billion shillings. Increased lending was key in pushing up total assets by 9.8% to 571.3 billion shillings, supported by growth in investment and lending activities. Absa Bank Kenya CEO Abdi Mohammed says the lender is accelerating investment in digital capabilities, customer experience and strategic partnerships to build a more agile, efficient and future-ready organization positioned to deliver sustainable growth.
Cooperative Bank of Kenya has been named the SME Bank of the Year in Africa at the 2026 Africa Banker Awards in recognition of its role in financing small and medium-sized businesses and expanding financial inclusion across East Africa. The award that was presented during the African Development Bank annual meetings in Brazzaville, Congo, recognized the lender for its support of SMEs that are a major driver of employment and wealth creation across Africa. Cooperative Bank Group Managing Director Gideon Muriuki says the recognition is a validation of the lender's support for entrepreneurs who are an engine of inclusive economic growth. The African Banker Awards recognize individuals and institutions making significant contributions to the transformation and growth of Africa's financial sector. Now, you risk 5 years in jail or fine of up to 5 million shillings if you obstruct the Kenya Bureau of Standards officers from inspecting your premises. This is part of the proposed regulations by the Kenya Bureau of Standards as it seeks to strengthen standards in the country. Now, KBC annually is, of course, currently collecting views on a raft of changes as it seeks to strengthen standards, regulations in the country. Under the new regulations, manufacturing will be expanded to include software development and ICT installations. The regulations also seek to levy 0.2% of monthly net turnover for businesses with an annual turnover of 5 million shillings.
In this space, trust is very important. And through these regulations, we are elaborating what the law had already provided in a clearer manner so that responsibilities are clearly assigned. And when we do this, when these regulations get enacted, then we shall have created very important trust infrastructures in the product certification space. Through that trust, certificates issued in Kenya, test reports issued in Kenya, product certification marks issued in Kenya can be trusted not only locally but also regionally and across the entire continent. This is important for us because those are the keys to unlock the bigger market within the region and the bigger market within the continent. That way then Kenyan goods will be recognized across the continent and across the region, and that way we'll enhance manufacturing in this country, create employment, and also ensure that we grow our economy.
Now on to our interactive segment. We are joined by Sharon Mosin, and Sharon Mosin is a country director at Swiss Contact Kenya. You're here to discuss the measures that could be adopted to boost food production in the country, and of course matters financing agriculture sustainably in Kenya. Thank you so much for making time for KBC Channel 1.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yes. Yeah. How can financial institutions, build resilient for farmers, especially now that we are experiencing climate change? Today we have a drought, tomorrow we are having El Nino.
Yeah, that's a very good question. And before I answer that, let me just introduce Swiss Contact. So Swiss Contact is a non-governmental organization. We've been in the country for 28 years now, and we are a Swiss private sector founded foundation. We were founded by Swiss private sector in Switzerland, and we've been in existence since 1959. So it's a quite old organization. Okay. So to answer your question, agriculture production has been declining quite a bit over the last decade. And just as an example, when you look at the production of honey in this country, we have a deficit of about 5,500 metric tons annually. And something I just learned recently, yesterday actually, from a report recently released by FSD Kenya, is that we have a deficit of 5 billion eggs.
5 billion eggs?
Yes. So as you can imagine, we are importing eggs.
Is that the reason why the prices of eggs continue to shoot?
Yes, it continues to shoot because we have a deficit, and we are importing eggs as well as we are importing honey. And so that tells me there's a disconnect, because when you go to, you see a lot of honey when you're driving out of Nairobi around Rift Valley, you will see a lot of honey. When you go to Nanyuki, you see a lot of honey. People selling honey on the side of the road. So there has to be a problem, right? So that tells me that the production is really still very small scale, and also there is no clear linkages or sustainable linkages to markets. And that actually then impacts on the sustainable production, right? So if you are a smallholder producer, if you don't have an assured market, it means that, either your production will go down, or then you will hold on to your production, which then risks the quality. And if you don't have an assured market as well, it means that you cannot attract financing. Yeah. So to answer your question, for financiers to finance our smallholder producers, we need to look at agricultural production differently. Because, for example, who is a farmer, right? What is the notion? When you think of financing agriculture, the first thing we think is of a farmer. But who is this farmer? We are not looking at farming as an enterprise, yes, from the financing perspective. Yeah. And in my former days as working in the bank, we look at agriculture as something that, we do it incidentally, right? So to boost financing or to boost production into agriculture, we need to look at it as a system, as a whole. So that we are saying for this smallholder producer to produce consistently and sustainably, first of all, they need a reliable market, right? And for them to have a reliable market, then it means that we need someone that is off-taking from them, because they cannot, you cannot have a smallholder farmer directly selling to the consumers if you want to grow their consumer base.
Yeah.
So which means that you're looking at financing aggregate or having a private sector aggregator that is off-taking from these farmers. But for this aggregator to off-take consistently, they need financing, right? So in most cases, the financing does not necessarily, it's staged or it is tiered, right? So you need to ensure that production is happening, but if that production is happening, the sales are happening.
How does Swiss Contact come in?
So Swiss Contact, we support the private sector.
Okay.
The private sector interventions. What we do, we look at any sector that we go into, including agricultural food systems. We look at it as a system, and we say, in this country, we know we have the potential of production. So take honey, for example, the one I've just given. So we say there's 5,000 metric tons deficit.
Yeah.
Why? In Laikipia, where we have interventions, we have 30 women groups producing honey. But when you go, you visit them, they are sitting with that honey in their
There's
stores.
no market.
Yes, there is no market. So what do we do? So Swiss Contact, what we did is we brought in private sector honey processor, but also the good thing with this company that we brought in as well, they are looking at other commodities beyond honey. So they are looking at venom, they are looking at propolis, they are looking at royal jelly to diversify the commodities from an honey enterprise or an apiary. Or apiculture, if you will.
Yeah.
So this has really enabled the communities to see this as a viable enterprise, because they are not only earning from selling honey, they are earning from selling other commodities that is coming from apiculture or from their hives. With this, and that comes to sustainability, because many communities in Laikipia and Isiolo counties or any other semi-arid, arid and semi-arid areas, they rely mostly on livestock. And what does livestock do? Overgrazing then degrades the land. If the land is degraded, then there is less biodiversity. If there is less biodiversity, bees won't thrive. Well, bees need a thriving biodiversity. They need access to water.
Yeah.
So what we are saying is, for you to finance smallholder producers in places like arid and semi-arid, which are really impacted by climate and environment shocks, you need to create a sustainable livelihoods that does not further degrade the environment that they are in, but also responds to the climate shocks.
Your observation as Swiss Contact, is there a potential for Kenyan farmers to fill this gap?
Yes.
Food production.
Definitely, definitely. And for the farmers to be incentivized to continue producing, they need to have a reliable market. And for that market to be reliable, financing needs to flow.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for your time.
Thank you.
This has been Sharon Mosin, Country Director, Swiss Contact Kenya, speaking to us on matter financing agriculture sustainably in Kenya. And our crude oil prices have dropped following a report that the US and Iran have reached a deal subject to President Donald Trump's approval. The price of a barrel of Brent crude reduced to a low of $93.36 per barrel from an earlier high of $98 per barrel. Now here are the details of these and other stories making headlines across the borders.
There were reports that officials had made an agreement over an extended ceasefire on Thursday. It drove the price of barrel of Brent crude down to a low of $93.36 per barrel from an earlier high of $98 per barrel, before rebounding to about $94 per barrel. Crude oil prices had jumped earlier after the U.S. carried out new attacks on Iran, targeting a military site in Bandar Abbas, a strategic port city. The strikes occurred despite an ongoing ceasefire between Tehran and Washington to allow for talks to end the 3-month-long war that has effectively closed the Strait of Hormuz waterway. Crude oil prices have swung widely since the conflict began, with Brent crude briefly surging from $70 a barrel before the war to about $120 a barrel. Meanwhile, cross-border trade in Rwanda has slowed as authority tightened movement restriction and infection screening after an Ebola outbreak in neighboring Democratic Republic of Congo. The World Health Organization says the epidemic has caused 220 suspected deaths in eastern DRC, warning the true scale is likely larger. The outbreak has heightened vigilance at Rwanda's crossing between Rubavu and Goma, one of Africa's busiest pedestrian borders and a lifeline for thousands of traders, porters and commuters. Health authorities warn that eastern DRC high population mobility and intense cross-border movement. The outbreak has heightened vigilance at Rwanda's crossing between Rubavu and Goma, one of Africa's busiest pedestrian borders and a lifeline for thousands of traders, porters and commuters. Health authorities warn that eastern DRC high population mobility and intense cross-border movement continue to pose a risk of transmission, and vigilance is critical. Finally, Serbia's long-running visa-free policy is driving a tourism boom, with foreign arrival climbing more than 400% in the past 5 years. Vineyards and rolling hills around Topola have made this region one of Serbia's best-known wine destinations, with its local wineries reaping the benefits of Serbia's visa-free policy. Serbia's wine are offered to 90 countries. Serbia's tourism surge is fueled by the exotic appeal of destinations. No more than 500,000 tourists came to Serbia in 2020, but by last year arrivals had surged to nearly 2.5 million, a jump now reverberating across the tourism sector.
You know, the Kenya Publishers Association is urging Kenyans to embrace a reading culture, warning that over-reliance on social media may lead to intellectual deficiency. Now, speaking during the opening of the Meru Regional Book Fair at Kinoru Stadium, the association's chairperson, Musyoki Muli, called on the national government to clear pending bills owed to publishers, warning that delayed payments could disrupt learning in schools.
Kenyan population is that we are known not to be good in reading. We are known to have read the newspaper. We are known for good reading of social media. And we want to urge the Kenyan community to enrich knowledge. The government owes us. Some of the payments date back to 2025. So when you go to primary, which is 6.5 billion, that money has been owed for a long time. We are appealing to the government to pay the pending payment of around 9.5 billion, because that's the money we use to print for the next levels.
And now let's get sporty for a moment. The national men's rugby sevens team Shujaa has drawn 10-10 with Australia in the opening Group A match of the ongoing HSBC Sevens World Championship Series in Valladolid in Spain. Now Shujaa will thereafter face defending champions South Africa in the second pool fixture scheduled 6-8 p.m. Now it's African time. Now, Kenya will wind up the group matches against Great Britain tomorrow, Saturday, as they hope to proceed to the knockout phase. The Kenyan team finished 8th in Hong Kong and will push harder to avoid finishing in the bottom four, where teams will be relegated to the developmental HSBC Sevens 2 Series. The three-tournament HSBC World Championship will conclude in Bordeaux, France on 5 to 7th June. And now Kenya is currently placed 7th on the 12-team standings with 8 points. Now, South Africa, Argentina and Spain occupy the top 3 slots, while Uruguay, Great Britain, Germany and USA are placed 9th and 12th, respectively.
That's gone forward off Davis. He thought he was bumped in the air, and Kenya have it back. Really good passage of play for them, and they're up and running again, and they get another try. It's Abakusi. What a finish.
The Kenya Aquatics Long Course Championships are set to commence today at the Kasarani Aquatic Stadium, bringing together some of the country's top swimmers in a 3-day competition set to end on Sunday. Among those set to compete are Visa Dolphin Swim Club swimmers Sudais Bashir and Hussein Wario, who head in the championships. In the high spirits following a strong performance, the Kiambu Aquatic Invitational Championship, Hussein secured qualification for the national event after meeting the required standards during the Kiambu meet, while Bashir posted a time of 30 seconds in the 50 meters freestyle. Magengi FC were crowned champions of the Tujiamini Soccer Tournament after edging out Chap Talal FC 5-4 in a thrilling penalty shootout during an entertaining final played in Bomet. Magengi FC started the match brightly, dominating possession and creating several chances in the early stages of the game. However, Chap Talal FC displayed a great defense discipline, holding firm to keep the scores level throughout regulation time and forcing the contest into penalties after a goalless draw. In the dramatic shootout, Magengi FC held their nerve to secure a 5-4 victory. Following their triumph, the champions walked away with 30,000 Kenyan shillings, 2 footballs and a full set of kits. Chaptalala FC, who finished as runners-up, received 20,000 Kenyan shillings along with a set of kits.
Tumekam kwa hii match to give back to the community. Today has basically been hanging out with the millionaires. SportPesa wamepeana 40 million to 3 winners. Na hii it's just a way pia kuambia community of Bomet asanteni kwa kutu host na pia ku empower the grassroots talent ya football.
That's where we end Lunchtime News on KBC Channel 1, right from the broadcasting house in Kenya's capital, Nairobi. My name is Giverson Maina. Our sign language interpreter is Byron Abuli. And of course, tomorrow at 7 p.m., we're expecting a finale between PSG and Arsenal in the Champions League. See you again tomorrow. Same place, same time.
Rockfield leo wana mambo fulani. Rockfield
Alfajiri tuamka, macheo yametujia, umande unanyauka, jua linatufikia.
Bendera imepata heshima stahiki.
Bendera inapochafuka au kunyeshewa haioshwi, na hii ni ukosefu wa heshima. Je, hii ni kuheshimu bendera? Baadhi ya mashujaa tunaowajua waliotutangulia wamezikwa na bendera. Je, hii ni heshima kweli?
Nini maana ya chuku katika fasihi?
Chuku ni mbinu ya matilia chumvi katika vitendo katika kazi ya fasihi ili kueleza hisia fulani.
Kila siku tuwe na amani.
Kwa sauti?
Kila siku tuwe na amani.
Umeanza vizuri na amani. Kila siku?
Kila siku tuwe na shukrani.
Kila siku tuwe na shukrani, wapiga makofi jamani.
My name is Joseph Kabai.
I'm Trixie Adala.
She just left the bus she was sitting in.
I got to the bus that I was just unsettled. I was looking at everyone and I'm like, I don't think if there is anyone to talk to here.
Then the only vacant seat was next to me. I used to send her WhatsApp text messages. She could reply after 1 week.
And then he told me, you know, by the way, me, I don't want a girlfriend. And somebody warned me, don't go to Ngara kushona wedding gown.
Ukasema mimi naenda Ngara.
Alikuwa ameenda akaweka mpaka purple hapa yenye inashine.
Our last born, Emmanuel, 5 years right now. 1 month after, anamwosha jioni 7-8 hapo hivyo. Kafu ikianza. The baby convulsed, akakufa. But we prayed and he came back to life.
Yes.
This week on Magical Scenes, we put our focus on the mountain bongos at the